Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are doing the Shrine of Secrets review for the 10th of October 2023. I did actually record the Shrine review for last week, however when I went back on it, two of the perks that I was talking about basically had loads of static over it, even though I was just doing it normally, like recording the audio normally. But yeah, there was massive just static. You couldn't hear anything other than just like static for two of the perks. So I did try and record it again, but the kind of same thing happened. So I'm hoping this one is going to be okay. And I'm here this week for this review. I'm doing it a bit differently because I've realized watching back when I edit and stuff how similar all of these are. So I thought I'd maybe start trying to do some gameplay in the background while I talk and kind of change it up a bit, because I realized that looking at that shrine screen for like years now is, even for me, it's a bit much right now. But anyway, I still have a sore throat, so apologies if I have to edit a lot out. But anyway, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, we have False Penance, which is a Pyramid Head perk. And this one also survivors who take protection hits get inflicted with the broken status effect for 80 seconds. Sorry. Basically, this perk it's okay. It's a perk that's not really great, to be honest, but it's also kind of like niche at the same time. Like, I think this is really good for those squads, survive friends who like to take hits all the time. Like when you go into a hook, like, and they all wanna stand there at the hook. Like, yeah, you're gonna wiggle off, but also all your friends are gonna be broken now, and they're gonna be kind of screwed if I go after them. So I think it's good in that sense. Protection hits do mainly count. I think you'll mainly get the value from those survivors who are taking hits like that for hooks. But protection is obviously is also for like taking hits for recently in hook survivors, or if you're healing someone, you take a hit for them. But I think the most consistent, because protection hits are a bit like iffy sometimes, but the main one guaranteed where you'll get it is from survivors who are taking hits for the hook. So I think for that it's really good. I really like Broken anyway. Broken's one of my favorite status effects because I feel like it just is a really good punishment, which I think is also the point of this perk and for it being a Pyramid Head perk. But I think it's good for like punishing survivors who are trying to be altruistic and, are trying to be too much. So like if they have Breakout, it kind of punishes that. You can obviously combine this with other hook perks. You could combine this with like Mad Grit or Agitation. So that way you can kind of go out of your way to get them broken. But I think at that point, you might as well just try and down them if you're using perks like that. But yeah, I think it's okay. I obviously don't say like use this every game. You probably should use something other than this perk. But I think this is a fun one. If you could tell you've got a team, you can probably try and use this. This is also really good for killers who rely on injured survivors for their power. So the main one I use it for is Dredge. Dredge builds up his power by having multiple people injured. So if you use this and keep multiple people injured, that's good as well. It's also good for like Oni, again, because that means they're injured longer, so they spew blood orbs longer. But other than that, I think this perk's okay. It's a fun one. It's not, amazing, but it's fun. Next up, we have Play with Your Food, which is a Shape/Michael Myers perk. This perk lets you have an obsession, and every time you chase your obsession and let them escape, you get a token, which goes up to 3 tokens, and each token increases your movement speed by 5%, and you can only be obsessed with one survivor at a time. So the point of this perk is to be like Michael Myers. You're supposed to kind of stalk someone for a bit, and then like let them go, basically. It says let them go, but basically just any time a chase ends, you don't have to like purposely let them go. Like if the chase just ends by itself, that counts as well. Basically, anytime you lose chase with the obsession, you get a token. So what you can do is keep going to the obsession and then running off. Because you can stay in chase of them. Like I know if you look at the floor, that kind of like makes it go faster to end the chase. Or you can literally just run up to them and then just run back off. You can do that 3 times and you can get 3 tokens, which gives you 15% movement speed, which is pretty crazy. However, every time you swing your weapon, it does consume a token. So you have to be very careful with this perk because it's not a perk that like you probably won't be getting 3 tokens a whole lot. And if you do, then you're not going to be keeping them for a while. The point is to try and just get them by staying at distance, let that person go. But in return, you get a bit stronger, and then you have to kind of, sacrifice that every so often. But I think it's okay. I don't really like this one. I know a lot of people use this. It's very common on Michael himself, because especially when you're using like Tombstone, because you can, the Tombstone Mori doesn't count as a killer swing, so it does count and you keep your tokens. And obviously you could try and you could try and like maneuver your way around it by trying to keep tokens, but I feel like, in my opinion, it's just a bit too stressful. There's a lot of stuff you have to keep an eye on and keep track of when you're playing anyway. So I feel like trying to do this and keep your tokens and make sure you don't use tokens here and make sure I have enough tokens for this, I feel like it's a bit too stressful. And plus, it means you have to keep letting one survivor go all the time, which, if you're doing really bad, you kind of have to just go after them at some point, and then, the perk's not doing anything. So I feel like it's good. It is effective, but I feel like for me, it's just a bit too much micromanaging in an already micromanageable situation. Like, you have to keep your eye on so many things, and I think this is just adding to that. So not worth it for me, but I do like it, and I do see the value in it. Next up, we have Bite the Bullet, which is a Leon perk. This perk has, so when you're healing, you and the survivor that you're healing make no noise, including grunts of pain. There's no noise notification on failed skill checks, and when you do fail those skill checks, the healing progress only regresses by 1%. So you don't lose out on as much healing progress, and it's also completely quiet. I feel like this perk is one of those that you have to kind of use with other stuff. I think also you have to use this with like at least a med kit, because it's good, like if you're just healing someone normally, but I feel like this perk really specializes when you're using like a med kit or even like self-care or something that helps with healing anyway, because I feel like just using it anyway is a bit too like situational is the word I'm looking for. Like, if you have a med kit or something, you'll at least be able to heal yourself anytime, and there's always an opportunity to do that. But the point is, I feel like this perk's pretty decent. I did use this a lot when it first came out. I don't use it as much now, but it's a pretty like niche perk, like it's not, I mean, I'd say it's actually alright, actually. Like, value wise, it's pretty good. You can hear like in dark corners and around buildings and stuff like that, and again, it works for you and other teammates, so it does have value. I just think, as long as you're using it with other healing perks and stuff, and obviously you're not just healing out in the open, you have to try and be a bit stealthy with it. But other than that, I feel like it's okay. I'd say it's niche, but also it is good in some sense, like as long as you use stuff of it, I think it's not a bad perk, honestly. And finally, we have Reassurance, which is a Rebecca perk. This perk has, so when you're within 6 meters of a hook survivor, you can use the active ability button to pause their struggle progression for 30 seconds, and they do not also get the skill checks if they're in phase 2 of the sacrifice. So basically, it's an anti-camp perk. That's pretty much how you can describe this and sum it up. It's a perk that lets you, at any time, at any point, you can activate this perk, and it pauses that survivor's hook progression for 30 seconds. This works for phase 1, phase 2, like it says, and phase 2 it pauses the skill checks as well. It's basically how kinship works, where that perk has, so people have to come to you and then it just goes automatically. This one you can choose when to use it. You can only use it once per hook state though, so you can't just spam it all out on like phase 2 and just have them, be on phase 2 for like 2 minutes straight. You know what I mean? But other than that, I feel like this perk, I think this perk is good. However, with the new anti-camp thing that's literally just been added this week, I'm not sure how this is going to play into this meta now, because, day by day behavior, whatever, they've added that new anti-camp system where, anti-camp's just kind of like a thing built in now. So I feel like this perk, I'm not sure how it's going to play now that, like I said, there's an actual system for anti-camp. It's still a good perk, and I think, it's a fun perk to use like in a team or solo queue, because it lets you do that, and then once you use it, your teammates know that you have it, so they know, like, they're not as concerned, I guess, when they get hooked, because they know that, someone at least has got reassurance and they can keep them alive for a bit. And sometimes you don't have to use this. Obviously, you'll have games where there's not a need to use it because the killer just doesn't camp, and they obviously just, walk off. And, also if you're not nearby, you can't really use this perk because you have to be within the 6 meter radius. And also, obviously, if someone else is going for hooks, rescues all the time, then, you can kind of just sit back. So, again, it's got kind of a thing like that. But you can say that about a lot of perks, a lot of healing perks. If you don't need to heal a lot in that game, the healing perks aren't great. So it is just situational. But I do think it is good. It's solid. It does tell survivors that you have it. It does also tell the killer, because it has that outline on them. So do keep that in mind. You have to be careful, because once the killer is let on that they know that you have it, they will, try and work around it, and they'll try and get you away from the hook if they can. But other than that, I think this perk's good. I just don't know how it's going to play right now. It's hard to comment on it right now, because the update that we had literally a few days ago, which hopefully isn't going to make these perks irrelevant now, but we'll see. That'll do from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you like the different format. It's been a lot more fun to edit, and I hope hopefully if you guys like it, or you have any like suggestions I could do, you know, like if there's anything with like the formatting or screenshots or anything, if there's anything you want me to do differently, let me know and I can try and work on that. This is just kind of what I've kind of come up with today, pretty much. So I can always tweak it, and I'll probably be able to tweak it in little bits as we do it more. But if you guys like it, I'll keep doing it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.